You're now tuned in to the Real Money Coach broadcast with host Tony Jackson, author of the book Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money. Get ready for winning tips and strategies to effectively manage your finances and learn the key principles of protecting and dominating your money. Now, here's author and host Tony Jackson.
Hello, and good morning. You are listening to the Real Money Coach show here on Praise 100.9, Charlotte's Inspiration Station. And as a reminder, every place you get your podcast, this podcast drops about 10 a.m. or so every Saturday morning after it airs live on the airways in Charlotte. And so I'm glad that you're with me this morning, and got really a heavy topic today, and then I have a wonderful interview with a gentleman in the middle of our show. That gentleman's name is Men Tchaas Ari, and he is president and CEO of Community in Schools, the Charlotte Mecklenburg school system. And so it's a national organization, but he's the local president and CEO, doing some wonderful things. So I think you're going to enjoy that interview that we have with him today. And then he'll also be our guest on the show on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, both on YouTube and Facebook and also LinkedIn. So this is what I want to do today. I really, those of you who know me know that I'm from Michigan, right? Grew up in Michigan, grew up in Muskegon, Michigan, lived in Jackson, Michigan for a number of years from the time I graduated from college until I moved to Charlotte. And so what happened in East Lansing last Monday evening around 8 p.m., I know you've probably seen it on the news, heard about it, is the mass shooting that took place on Michigan State University. And, you know, the thing about it is that I've been on that campus many, many times. Even as a high school football player, I did a visit there. Had my best friend in high school went to Michigan State. I got family members that went there. My sister-in-law is an alumni. I got cousins, and et cetera, et cetera. And because I lived in Jackson, which was only 30 miles really south of Lansing and East Lansing, we spent a lot of time in East Lansing on campus, driving through campus, getting to the mall or whatever the case may be. And I've actually been in those two halls where the three students actually lost their life to this gunman. And so it hits kind of closer to home because it was close to home, right? It was close to where I lived, where I grew up, where we went to church and all these types of things. And, here's the thing. You can't replace life. You can't put a price on it. You can't put a value on it, right? You can't do that. I mean, when you lose someone that you love, I mean, there's no money that you would give. There's nothing that you wouldn't do to have that person back in your life, especially such an unexpected, brutal way to die. But part of my job, part of my thing that I think is my responsibility to you, the listeners, and to the public, is that when we have these type of situations that occur, me as the Real Money Coach, part of what I think is a responsibility or a task for me is to say, when we have these social economic issues, violence, is to share with you the economic impact of those things. Because we see it on the news and we understand all these things happen, but there's an economic cost behind everything that happens. And so part of my job is to expose that economic cost, and not just that, but when there's also opportunity, right? So I wanted to just kind of, after the mass shooting, I started thinking, like, what is the economic cost of gun violence in the United States, right? And when I start to do the research on it, I was like, wow, it is so much, right? So actually the number that was reported, and this was, in 2022, so it's recent numbers, is that it cost the economy $556 $7 billion every year because of gun violence. Now, again, we don't put a price on a person's life. I mean, because, there's 40,000 people every year that die due to gun violence. There's another 80,000 people that are wounded due to gun violence every year. And like I said, to the tune of $557 billion. How is that $557 billion broken down? $2.8 billion are for medical costs alone. $2.8 billion for medical costs. $53.8 billion work loss, right? So victim can't go to work. So it's the disability, it's the caregiver work wage losses, the incarceration of the perpetrator, all these type of things. So in work loss benefits, $53.8 billion. And police and criminal justice costs. We are talking about the police response, the investigation, court administration, etc. $11 billion. $500 million goes for employers' costs in terms of lost revenue, productivity, having to rehire. And then the whopping part that they put this estimate here is that it's $489 billion loss of quality of life. That means the value, right, of pain, the suffering, the well-being, loss of the victims, their families, and then the rest of us. And even though we might not own a gun, we may not have been directly involved, economically, it has an impact on us, right? So now you got to think about it. Gun violence means that we got to have, metal detectors in schools. That means that we have to have different measures in place because of all of the gun violence that is taking place in terms of security for your house, yada, yada, yada. I mean, there's so much there, but the total economic impact is, almost $500 billion for that alone. And, and so it does affect us. I mean, I know it affects us emotionally. I know it affects us in so many different ways. And the closer you are to the situation, the higher the impact may be, whether, you work on campus or you're around campus, you have students, all that has an impact on us emotionally, but it also has an economic impact. And, my job is to make sure we know that and that we not ignore it. So that's the top news. That's the kind of the elephant in the room that I wanted to talk about today. And again, my prayers are going out for the victims, their family, everyone involved. First responders, as well as students and staff at Michigan State University. Go Spartans. I mean, me being a Michigan fan, I don't know if I ever said that before, but this is cause for us to put aside our differences and who we root for, and all surround and wrap our arms and prayers around Michigan State University. Listen, you're listening to The Real Money Coach, and I'm going to come back with this wonderful interview with Men Tchaas Ari, the president and CEO of Community in Schools. You're listening to The Real Money Coach Show.
Y'all feeling all right? Listen. I've tried it my way, but it took away all my faith. I tried to sleep it away, yeah, but the pain stayed. I've tried to blend in, but it was bigger than my friends. You see, I've tried hard. I just needed to trust God. I've tried hard. I just needed to trust God.
Hey, Grace family, join author Tony Jackson for the Real Money Coach broadcast each and every Saturday morning from 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9. Mr. Jackson enlightens you on the real secrets of money. He'll also help you increase, protect, and dominate your money. You can also catch Tony Jackson's The Real Money Coach every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube. Check out The Real Money Coach, Mr. Tony Jackson, every Saturday morning, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Praise 100.9.
And welcome back to The Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host, Tony Jackson.
Welcome back to Praise 100.9, Charlotte's Inspiration Station. and everywhere you get your broadcast. I am your host, and this is the Real Money Coach Show. As I told you in the first segment of the show, I'm super excited about the gentleman that we have on the line with us this morning, Men Tchaas Ari. He is president and CEO of Community in Schools here in Charlotte. Community in Schools, Charlotte Mecklenburg. Men Tchaas, how are you doing this morning?
Well, Tony, I'm doing great. I'm also excited to have a chance to join you on your show today.
Yeah, man, I tell you what, just having my wife, as I mentioned to you, is an educator, really, I think education is important as we talk about generational wealth. We talk about different things like that. Certainly, education is a big part of that. But before we get into a little bit of that, could you just kind of tell our listeners just a quick background of who you are and maybe a little bit about, CIS schools?
Sure, no, thank you for that. Again, I'm really excited to be here. I'm Men Tchaas Ari. I'm a native of Bloomfield, Connecticut, but I have been in Charlotte since 1995. So I really consider myself a Charlottean. Both of my children, born, raised, have gone to school here in Charlotte. So I really feel a part of the community here. I left Connecticut as a teen to go to college. I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta. And I have fallen in love with the Southeast, and I've been here ever since. It is 2 years and change since I've been president and CEO here at Communities in Schools. I have the mixed luck of actually starting in the midst of the pandemic, but starting during the pandemic really provided a bird's eye view of the disparities that we see in this community. And I love to have an opportunity to just kind of unpack some of that with you on your show.
Yeah, listen, and when we get into our show on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time on Facebook and YouTube, LinkedIn, I really want to get into that disparity because here in Charlotte, of course, we know about the upper mobility study that came out a few years ago where Charlotte ranked 50 out of 50 in terms of being born in poverty and getting out of poverty here in Charlotte. And I often tell franchise that people, to me, Charlotte seems like the tale of two cities, right? One is those of us like myself who moved here. I mean, I moved here in 2014, and people who maybe were born here. And so I think that's two different. We see the city in two different views, if you so to speak. And so I can't wait to unpack that a little bit more. But CIS, tell me a little bit, what's CIS's mission and tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Charlotte Mecklenburg.
Well, thanks for that question. And you're absolutely right. You say a tale of two cities. I often say there's a tale of two school districts, right? And so Communities in Schools, our mission is to really make sure that students have what they need to succeed in school and in life. We don't really talk about our students in the terms of, these are low-income children or these are children who are at risk. No, our children are phenomenally strong, resilient, and they have such great potential. And our job is to really help these students unlock their potential so that they can succeed in school and in life. We currently are housed in 56 schools across the Charlotte Mecklenburg School District. And what we do is we have a human being, we have a live we have an adult in the classrooms to really be there as a source of mentorship, as a shoulder to lean on, as a confidant, to help navigate what it means to be a teen, to be a student, to just try to be a young adult in Charlotte Mecklenburg today. I couldn't imagine what it's like to try to go to school with social media in the midst of a pandemic, even though we're seemingly at the tail end. And what our site coordinators do is they build relationships with students. And in building relationships, we're able to remove barriers. Many of the barriers could be around housing, could be around food security. And what we do is we want those students to be ready and willing to learn after we assist them. Sometimes it's just as simple as helping someone get some sneakers or helping them get a desk in their home during a pandemic. We remove every barrier to their learning so that they can succeed and really attain their highest and fullest potential.
Man, I think that's awesome, man. And I think that's great work. And as I talked about this in the first part of the show before you came on, it's like it's a different world now. I mean, being a native of Michigan, and with the shooting that just happened on Michigan State University, I mean, I've been in those two halls. Matter of fact, even when I was being recruited for football up there, I mean, and we had friends that went to Michigan State. So I've been in the union. I've been there before.
It's sad. It's
and
sad.
It's sad. The world that we live in now, where you have to have active shooting training, and I think about my daughter, who is a middle school teacher at Kennedy. My wife is an ESL teacher at Wingate Park. And the fact is, the other day, and this is, I mean, I know I'm a little bit off our topic, but the other day I was on my way to the radio station, and there's like 5 police ambulances that passed me by, and they were going in the direction of where my wife's school is. Now, she wasn't there, but the first thing I was like, it's like, man, I hope there's not something going on at the school, was the first thing that came to my mind because of this environment that we live in. So I know what you're doing is so needed and important. And just people having an advocate.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate your family members really taking up the baton to really teach during this time. And it's crucial. Your show is about investments, right? And
Yep.
I know firsthand what it means to have an adult invest in you, to pour into you, to mentor you. I know what it means to have investments as it relates to education, as it relates to having materials, whether it's internet access, whether it's encyclopedias back in my day. And so I really see a direct tie to the work that we do at communities and schools and the mission that you and your team are championing on your show each and every week. And so I am thrilled to have an opportunity to talk about how important investment in education is, but doing it in the context of 2 different school districts, right? The
Wow.
experience that students have on one side of town is very different than students have on the other side of town. And so at CIS, we not only want to remove barriers, but we really want to address those systemic inequities that are really responsible from some of the disparities that we see still today in 2023.
Man, I can't wait to unpack that on Tuesday. And as we talk about different things like the wealth gap and some of those things that you and I personally have a passion about, but that tale of 2 different school districts, I think that's going to be huge. Listeners who are watching, make sure that you tune in for this rich conversation. Now, I got to say this, Men Tchaas, though, you aged yourself when you said encyclopedia, right? Because the kids don't know anything but Wikipedia. That's the only thing we know today, right?
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Yeah, and I'm glad. You talk about disparities. I remember not everyone in my neighborhood had encyclopedias, right? And so that gave me a leg up. And so what we want to make sure as the students in Charlotte, we want to make sure that they have all the resources that they need to be successful. I'll tell you really fast, when I talk about the work that we do, I talk about it realistically within a context of what Charlotte means in our community and our nation. Charlotte is the 2nd largest city in the Southeast, right?
Mhm.
And CMS, Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools, is the 2nd largest school district in our community. So when you put those 2 factors together, it is not unrealistic to think that the next senator, that the next bank president, that the next school superintendent can come from Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. But when over half of our schools are high poverty schools, you got to ask yourself, what barriers is the next president, the next CEO, the next senator facing in our district? And it's my job and all the phenomenal people who work on my team to really remove those barriers so that the next leader does not fall through the cracks.
That's awesome, man. And just reflecting in your conversation about encyclopedias, and not everyone had. We had two sets of encyclopedia: the regular encyclopedia, and then we had the Black American Encyclopedia. Those were the two sets I had when we grew up, right?
See, I wish we had the black. I wish we had the Black edition in Connecticut. We didn't, but
well, this is Black History Month, man. You just drew that out. So listen, I enjoyed our time together. Very short this morning, but really looking forward to unpacking some of these things with you on Tuesday. People, make sure that you tune in for the Real Money Coach Show Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, Facebook, YouTube. I will continue this interview with Men Tchaas, the president and CEO of Community and Schools. We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back and close the show out. You're listening to the Real Money Coach Show here on Praise 100.9.
Think about it, where would I be without the Lord's arms wrapped all around me? Think about it, what would I know? People coming at me trying to plot from every angle. Think about it, who would I trust? Even the church people got me feeling like I wanna cuss. When I think about the dangers that I see and the ones that I don't know all day. All day and all night. All night. All night now. Angels keep watching over my life.
Hey, Tony Jackson here. You know me as the Real Money Coach. Listen, I want to encourage you to do something. And what I want to encourage you to do is email me your questions, your comments, or even suggestions of topics that you would like us to cover on the Real Money Coach Show. You can email it to info@therealmoneycoach.com. Again, that's info@therealmoneycoach.com. Email us your questions, your comments, your suggestions, and we will answer those on air and also on our Facebook Live YouTube show on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you email us so that we can get that information that you want to know in your ears. I am Tony Jackson, the Real Money Coach.
And welcome back to the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host, Tony Jackson.
All right, welcome back to our show here. Listen, you need to join us on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time as we continue this interview with Men Tchaas. One of the things, it's just going to be action-packed. I just got excited, and we could have kept going and going and going, but I do want you to tune in, find out more about the Community and Schools organization, what they're doing, and as we also morph into this conversation about the wealth gap. And one of the things, as he mentioned in that interview, he said that I talked about that there's, to me, Charlotte is the tale of two cities, and he said it's also the tale of two school districts. And so I think that's very interesting. Looking forward to unpacking that. Now, with that being said, I have just a quick announcement what we're going to be doing. Many of you listeners and people who follow me have been part of our community where we've been doing a master class on my book, Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money. Matter of fact, if you don't have the book, please make sure you go and order it. If you go to therealmoneycoach.com, you'll see a link there where you can order the book. And so that class is actually coming to an end. We did a 7-week master class that ends actually on Monday. And so what we're going to be doing starting on the 27th is we are going to be doing what I'm calling a TRMC, the Real Money Coach Master Class. This master class is all about financial literacy, financial education, or like I like to say, financial intelligence. And the difference between financial education and financial intelligence is that financial education is getting you the information, right? Financial intelligence is applying that to your life. So it's life application. And so that's what we're real pushing for. We're going to be opening up. Matter of fact, it's open now. Registration for the TRMC Master Class. There's no cost to you whatsoever. There's no cost for you to attend the Master Class. It is absolutely free. You simply can go to trmcmasterclass.com to register. It will be over Zoom. We're looking for people who, if you got it all together, please come to the class and share your nuggets of wisdom. If you're struggling and don't know what to do, come to the class. It's for everybody, and I'm sure that we're going to have a great engagement. But let me just, it'll be 7 weeks. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern time on Mondays, and we have 7 broad topics that we're going to talk about. Now, what's going to happen is myself and my team of CFEI, Certified Financial Education Instructors, as well as maybe some guest speakers and that type of thing, we're going to be talking about some different topics. The broad topics, I'm going to tell you what they are, and then we'll actually drill down each week to a couple specific things. So, for example, the first week we're going to talk financial psychology. Now, that is going to be an in-depth look at the psychology, the psychological factors that affect how we handle our personal finances. And then the second week, we're going to talk about savings, expenses, budgeting, where we're going to introduce, the aspects of budgeting, how budgeting benefits your progress towards obtaining your desired lifestyle, reaching your financial goals. Week number 3, it's going to be about loans and debt. So, most people borrow money in some fashion during their life. In this week, we're going to talk about the in and outs of loans and debt. Some things we kind of may talk about is good debt versus bad debt, how to get out of debt, those type of things. And then as we then move into the next week, it's going to be about personal credit. We're going to talk about credit. We're going to talk about how your credit affects your personal financial situation, how to get and maintain good credit, how your credit score is derived, those type of things. And then the following week, we're going to be talking about taxes. It's really about economic and government influences, but really it's going to really kind of this time around going to be focused in on taxation, right? And, taxes represent a tremendous amount of our budget. And then as we move into what then will be week 6, we're going to talk about risk management, insurance. And, every day, we have some type of risk, and insurance is a way to help us manage that risk. So we're going to talk about the basics of risk and evaluating and management of our risk. And then finally, the 7th week, which is probably our deepest and richest and largest module, but that is going to be on investing and personal financial planning. So in this particular part of the masterclass, we're going to talk about a comprehensive overview of investment, the process, how investing fits into one's personal financial planning. So that is what we're going to be doing. That is starting February 27th. Really, really excited about getting this information to everyone. Again, the masterclass is totally free, no cost to you whatsoever. And to be honest with you, I don't know how long we're going to be able to continue to offer all the things we do at no cost. So we're looking for corporate sponsors. We're looking for people that can maybe, do some things to help us to continue to offer these things for free. But right now, it's free, y'all. So take advantage of it. Again, you can go to trmcmasterclass.com to register for the masterclass starting February 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Listen, that is my time. Thank you for being with me this morning. Y'all have a great, great weekend, and we'll see you Tuesday on our live show, YouTube and Facebook. I'm Tony Jackson. I'm the Real Money Coach.
We hope you've enjoyed the Real Money Coach broadcast with author and host Tony Jackson. We encourage you to utilize today's strategies and principles to manage your money in the most effective and winning way. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to send us an email, TonyJacksonAgency@gmail.com, or you can reach us on all social media platforms. And if you would like a copy of Tony Jackson's book, Increase, Protect, and Dominate Your Money, log on to www.therealmoneycoach.com. Until next week's empowering broadcast, God bless.